All of you who are using our Wi-Fi, here's the password. Whoever's using other devices, if we will just share.
You need to be connected to the web.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Please use our. Everybody can see. Who are using the other devices?
Which is the device?
Yeah. ACT, tell the last four digits. 295 underscore 5. 295 underscore 5. Yeah.
I have the mic here. I have the mic. I have.
There's one more, right?
There was one more, I think, right?
Aditya, one more mic. Where is- Here it is.
Wow, everybody's very serious. Laptops open.
तुम class ले रहे हो ना?
Seriously.
I told everyone to bring a device.
Oh.
Shivani.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 8th Tales at Retail. So,
No, mic is not for this yet. Mic is for the recording.
yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 8th Tales at Retail. So, Tales at Retail is this session we have every month where we have an industry expert from a different industry every month come and talk to us and give us a really insightful conversation or a talk. Where we always have something to take away from. So last time we had Ms. Sri Lalita, who's a theatre artist. So as a design agency, having someone from a different industry every month is very inspiring, and very glad all of you could join us today. So today we have Jayant Prabhu, who is going to be talking to us about how we can make AI our ally. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for today's session, and I'll be handing over to Juhi ma'am to make the introduction of our speaker today.
Thanks, Shivani. I guess in all the episodes that we have had so far, this is the easiest introduction for me and also the most difficult one. So, Jayant has been telling me that this is an exercise in nepotism because I'm promoting self and my family, my extended family and the immediate family. And that's the center stage that I'm giving. But anyway, as some of you would know, Jayant leads the responsible AI part of Accenture. He has always been a data person since the time that I have known him, and even before that. He went to NIT Surathkal for his engineering, which he did in mechanical, and I think he just sort of jumped an entire industry and moved into software, spent 25 years and a little more with Wipro, led their whatever evolving the most fashionable business at that time would be, from what it was called data warehousing to data analytics to of course AI and machine learning. And he moved to Accenture some time back. He speaks at various events across the world, so for the rest of us, we are really flattered that he's come to a design agency like ours. But over the years, he and I have figured that I know nothing about what he does and he knows nothing about what I do. So it's serendipitous that there's a meeting point that we could orchestrate for my professional world and his. So thank you for coming to Retail Design, Jayant Prabhu, and the stage is yours. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm actually very surprised that she knew all the jargon, and that's what I think happens when you work from home, and this is what happened during COVID time. that you work from home, you know, sneak into each other's calls, and I've always been told that the kind of jargons that you use are just, I don't know, they're atrocious to say the least. And she's used quite a few on you guys, so I apologize for that to begin with. So, you know, I will show you something. So we were playing Pictionary some time back, and this is obviously also the reason why we are married for so long and for many more years. So what do you think I was drawing here? We were playing Pictionary. What do you think I drew here? And there's a hint, by the way. Yeah, it's a horse.
You guys are allowed to laugh, please, because we laugh with that putting our tummy.
So, well, I mean, it's everything other than a horse, but you know, when I drew this horse, and people guess, by the way, it's a horse. So it's not like it was not guessed. But this is what makes us, you know, they say opposites attract, right? I mean, theory of magnetism. So these are my skills in drawing, and what you heard were her skills in AI. So, you know, the opposites really attract, and that's why, you know, as they say, as opposites attract, we've been together for so long, and for many more years. But, you know, I also like challenges. So I told that, well, if this is the horse that I can draw, I can do much better. So I said, well, I'm going to take some inspiration and, you know, get better at this. So I said, well, the Leonardo da Vinci came out in me. I said, let's give it a little bit of a South Indian or an Indian twist, and this is what I created. Amazing, right? See how my drawing or my artistic skills evolved in a matter of few days. Well, I said not to be, you know, not to be left behind. I said, let me invoke another artist. How many of you know Van Gogh, by the way? What does Van Gogh do? What did he do, rather? Sorry, what? Who's Van Gogh? Artist. You guys are wrong. Have you guys crossed Trinity Circle? You crossed Trinity Circle, right? Van Gogh is actually a guy who makes frames, man. So I didn't know who Van Gogh was. Admission. Okay, I thought Van Gogh is a guy who makes frames, and then somehow I accidentally happened to go to Amsterdam and figured out this one museum called as Van Gogh. So I said, well, let me invoke the Van Gogh in me, and this is what I created with roses. That's actually original. I said, well, I mean, you got to be creative, right? So this is what I created. And guess what? So this is my transformation from a horse to Da Vinci to Van Gogh. And all of this is possible because I used AI as my ally. So thank you very much for having me here. And it's absolutely a pleasure to be talking to all of you about AI. You know, I really like cricket and Bollywood. That's what my hobbies are. But, you know, AI is Hotte Padu. How many of you understood that? Where is Adya? Next Kannada classes, okay? So, I mean, Hotte Padu, I mean, people who didn't understand, please explain it to the others. So, I started AI as Hotte Padu, which is basically sustenance. And then it became a passion. So, I really love what I do. It's a very interesting field. So maybe I'll start with a question. When you think of AI, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Anybody? Robots. I love it. I love that. Terminator, right? That's what comes to my mind too. Anyone else? Oh, I wish. I'll be out of job, ma'am. Virtual assistant. Oh, we're getting technical now. Okay. Come on, guys, don't be shy. It's your session.
It makes things easier. Like good shortcuts.
Okay.
Not very accurate shortcut, but shortcut.
Okay. All right. So, sorry? We hope it makes it easy. Yes. Yes. So, well, I mean, you guys have all given terms and terminologies. All of it is right. I mean, so, you know, I thought, why not invoke the three idiots in me and define what is AI, right? Akhir कहना क्या चाहते हो? So this is AI. AI is blah 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 blah. I'm sure you can read it all, right? So essentially, in simple terms, artificial intelligence is something that is meant to mimic natural intelligence. So we all supposedly have natural intelligence. Hopefully we do. And some of us commonly don't use it. So, we had to invent machines to do that. And this is what artificial intelligence is all about. It's essentially, computer systems and programs that are trying to mimic human behavior. And trying to mimic human behavior is not something new. It's while you would have heard of AI and it's boomed in the past few years. It's very interesting that AI has been around since the 1950s. How many of you knew that? It's a very old field. No, of course. I mean, the evolution has been quite a bit. Probably the AI that was built in 1950s was very 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 different. How many of you played this games in this console called as Atari? That shows my age, right? Okay, only two, man. Others, do you even know of what is Atari? Yes. Oh, you don't. Okay. Atari was a gaming console that you could attach to your TV, and it had these two joysticks, so two people could play. Either you could play with an opponent or you could play with a computer. So, what do you guys do with these fancy computers? Killing each other we used to do that over TVs. Sitting next to each other and not killing somebody who's like thousands of miles away. So in fact, systems like Atari had artificial intelligence. And if you played games there, they had games like tennis, Chinese checkers, chess. That was artificial intelligence. That was the first evolution of artificial intelligence where, they had certain rule sets that they had built in, which essentially mimicked human behavior, but it wasn't very complicated. So it went on from there. There were several rounds of evolution that happened. There was a lull somewhere in the 80s, and then it picked up again the later part of the 80s and the later part of 90s. And today, AI is a buzzword. Thanks to a moment that happened on 30th November 2022. Anyone tell me what that is? ChatGPT, OpenAI, yes. ChatGPT was launched on this date. ChatGPT actually revolutionized AI. And why and how did it revolutionize AI? It did a few things. Till this time, AI was actually a very complex set of things or instructions or programs that were meant to be, used by only a few people. A lot of the common folks did not get what AI was. It actually gave a front end to AI which was simple enough for everybody to use. So that was the first and the major breakthrough that happened with ChatGPT. The second thing that OpenAI did, and which was something that was happening through the course of time, and they had researched on it for quite a long time, was they solved a very complex problem of language. Before that, AI dealt with numbers. The classical AI, if you've heard of terms like machine learning, probably have or may not, it dealt with numbers. So when I deal with numbers, what can I show you as an output? I can show you a graph, I can show you a table, I can show you a document which has those numbers, and nobody would get a clue of what was happening behind, and you had no clue how it all came to life. But here was an engine that actually solved a language problem. You asked it a question, it gave you an answer. So the language problem, which was a difficult one, was something that OpenAI and the GPT models were able to solve, which was actually very transformative. Because we've always struggled as AI data practitioners, we've always struggled with unstructured text. It's very easy to manage structured text, but this actually gave us a way to manage, what I would call as the language problem or unstructured data, which is documents, files, PDFs, etc. And you could do a lot with that. The third thing that happened, which is very important for me, I was finally able to explain to my mother what I could do, what I did in life. So till that time, she was like, what the hell do you do? So I asked her, do you know what is ChatGPT? And then obviously over a period of time, we've had a lot of people talk about it, including Modi ji talking about how AI is not responsible and all that. So now my mother, my parents, my entire family knows what's AI, what's responsible AI. They also tell me that, do you know, AI can't generate images of people writing in left hand. I said, great. Thanks to Modi ji. He's made life easy for me. So the other key thing that happened was, it was not just what happened with ChatGPT. Look at this curve. What you see as the red line, which is the straight line, is the time it took for ChatGPT to hit, I think, 1 million users. It was probably in a day. And look at the time it's taken for all other applications. I'm sorry you can't read the graph, but these are applications ranging from Facebook to, I think the one that is the extreme one here is probably Netflix. So this was really what ChatGPT did. It created a revolution. Everybody now was talking about AI. It made life easy for me, but it also made life very difficult, because now everybody was an AI expert. So everybody would come and tell me that I can do AI. I'm like, sure, man, I can. I'm sure you can, right? So what that has done is it's actually put AI in everybody's hands. It's put AI in your hands. So what we'll talk about, I mean, I can, if I were to do this session about pre-2022, I'd have really wondered what would I have spoken to all of you, because it's very difficult to bring this to life to people who are probably users of AI. And I've probably spoken to you about Atari games and some chess program that beat Kasparov and all of that. And if you ask me how do I use it in my real life, I would have probably started to scratch my head. But thanks to Gen AI, thanks to tooling like ChatGPT, Gemini, life has become very easy for me. So what we're going to focus on today is we're going to focus on Gen AI. Because I can talk to you about classical AI, and I can talk to you about, how many of you did statistics in school, college? Okay, wow, nice. Okay. So can you tell me what's regression? All right. Okay. Look, that was the difficulty I would have hit if I had to do this and talk to you about how to apply AI to numbers. We will get to that at some point in time. So please refresh your statistics skills next time we speak. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit around with Gen AI and our friend ChatGPT. So we asked you to get your computers. Let's do an exercise, shall we? Okay, awesome. So warm up. People, you can read, right? I can, if not, people at the back, I'll read it for you. So log into ChatGPT, chatgpt.com. Think of the longest book that you've read. I'll tell you which book I've been reading recently. I've been reading Freedom at Midnight. It's if you've seen the size of the book, it's actually a good substitute for a pillow. But I've been reading the Kindle version. So whatever book that you think. I recently watched Harry Potter and Goblet of Fire. I experimented with that, saying whether it's accurate. So yeah, I mean, any book that you think of. And ask ChatGPT to summarize the book for you. Let's see what does it say. Come on, guys, ChatGPT doesn't take so long. Yeah, I mean, anyone. If not, I'm going to point to you people. Volunteers are always welcome. Okay. Oh wow, that's a heavy duty. Wow, nice. Okay, so you got a fairly accurate description of Fountainhead and the characters. Anyone else wants to share? I think there is. I think your bag is in the way. Oh, sorry, your laptop. Your laptop. And do you think the summary is accurate? Okay. Yeah, ChatGPT has got a way to play with your mind. So anyone's got so everybody's saying that it's accurate, more or less accurate, etc., etc. Anyone's got something that is absolutely contrarian? Sanjay, how about trying to summarize the Henderson Brooks Bhagat report? Henderson Brooks Bhagat report. It was the report. Okay, now I'm showing off. Okay, it was a report that was commissioned after the 1962 China War. Yeah, it's a classified document. I tried it. So, well, I mean, the point is the report is not out, but there is a book by Neville Maxwell. So he's got, sections of the report. So it said that the report is classified, but then it's obviously spoken about sections of the report from that book, and it also gave a description of what the report contains. So yes, I mean it's fairly accurate. Of course, these are things that you try out to jailbreak. How many of you know about DeepSeek? Have you heard of DeepSeek? Okay, what's DeepSeek? And where's it from? Chinese version of China. It's come from China, of course, and it's very interesting. Again, I shouldn't be saying this on open. It propagates Chinese propaganda. So you try asking it questions about China's incursions and all of that. It doesn't speak to it. So absolutely, that's Chinese propaganda. And whatever questions you asked is in China. It's in China. In fact, I was reading something very interesting. Sam Altman's the CEO of OpenAI. He's actually written to the U.S. government saying that U.S. government's got to relax rules on copyright because Chinese AI is being trained on all data while US is still stuck around copyright, because of which they're not able to train the models, and Chinese models will have a will be far more efficient and far more accurate. So all right, anyone else wants to share anything else on this? Yep. Ramsey, you got a use case right there, man. No, interesting. So, well, I mean, we just got warmed up, guys. So, as you can see, this is what Gen AI can do for you, and I will not equate it to Chat GPT. So, let's do another exercise now, and this time we will pick up another large language model provider, our friendly neighborhood Google. Let's log into Gemini. And since we are doing this at a design firm, we're going to make designers out of all of you. So what I would like you to do is start by asking it to build a logo, and then after that, ask it to enhance the prompt with other things. And then what I would like to hear from you guys is, what did you see was the difference? So the first step is just asking it to build a logo for a athleisure company. Of course. The point is just try just asking asking it to develop a logo. I'm sure different people will get different outputs. Okay. Anyone wants to share what happened when you gave a simple prompt of design a logo? Just created a plain object. When you enhance the prompt, okay, so it's hallucinating. Okay, great. So when you entered with the first prompt, possibly gave you a very simplistic logo, didn't necessarily have anything much to adhere to the concept, so on and so forth. What happened when you enhance the prompt? Oops. Did you get a better looking logo? Did you think that the logo was no? I think you are on the older version of Gemini. We'll let Google know. So I mean, what do you feel? I mean, doesn't matter. Yep. And did you like it on your T-shirt?
I got 3 different logos each time. And on the T-shirt, when I said put the previous one on the T-shirt.
No. So the point is that if you have to save the logo, upload the logo, then it'll put it on the T-shirt. So you can download the logo. So all of you can, whatever logo that you create, you can download it. Oh wow, nice. Well, but let me ask you, Shiba, how long did it take you to do all of this? I rest my case, my lord. You could. I mean, you could ask it to integrate it. Not the, but you can actually prompt it. So that's why I'm going to come to the whole prompting piece. Yes. You can do a thumbs down actually. You can do a thumbs down. You can do a thumbs down on it and say I didn't like this. So, but that's feedback for the model, not for you. Okay, all right. So, where were we getting at with this? We were essentially trying to say that what you just experienced is what I would call as prompt authoring. So you are authoring prompts. Prompts are the way through which you essentially communicate with the Gen AI system, the large language model. And well, I mean, as you see from what you guys did, the more descriptive you are, the better the output, the closer the output to what your expectation was. I think, as Ramsey said, you know, is it right or wrong? That's completely your judgment. But the more descriptions you gave to the system or the to the large language model or the Gen AI application, the more closer it got to what your expectation is. So there is one skill. So as they keep saying, right, that AI may take away jobs and all that might happen, but there is one skill that will never go away, and the skill is asking the right questions. So whether you ask right questions of each other, whether you ask right questions of your boss, of your customer, or of the large language model, that's never going to go away. So what's prompts? What are prompts? The prompt authoring, as we call them. I mean, or some of them it's called prompt engineering too, but somehow I don't like the term prompt engineering. I mean, it's more art than science, and engineers are not artists. You saw my horse, right? So I would like to call it prompt authoring. So what does it take for you to author a good prompt? This is all theory, by the way, so you can read through it. And I'll probably link it back to the examples that we spoke about. So we started by asking Gemini to create a logo. I mean, if I were to take it one step at a time, you can ask Gemini to create a logo. Then you could mention, what do you want the logo for? It's for an athleisure company. Then you describe the athleisure company in terms of what are the company's values and blah, 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 and what target group. You want to probably enhance it with the target market that it is working with. You also want to tell it, how would you want to see the logo, where would you want to place it, and whatnot. And you will realize that as you start to describe the prompt, the model starts to, react to you better. So it's very important to write the right prompt, because this is, if I may use the term, garbage in, garbage out. You can ask in your minds, you ask the right question, but we're still not at a level where ChatGPT or any OpenAI model can perceive your thoughts. Well, in your minds, you probably are thinking of designing a logo for a athleisure company, but it's not too far away where, probably the AI system will sense, there'll be an extra sensory perception that will go to the model and probably pick your brain waves and create what is in your mind. We're not there yet. That's what I would call as ASI. We're not there yet. So it's augmented super intelligence, for love this 3-letter terminologies. We're not there yet, and we're not going to be there in a while. So the only way to get this better is by stating your objectives in the right way. So what does a good prompt look like? Have a very clear objective. You need to have a very clear objective. What are you trying to do? Create a prompt, summarize an email, draft an email, create an executive summary, blah, 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 right? Be very specific in terms of the audience. You can mention it's for you, it's for a developer, it's for a CEO. You can mention that. Tell it, how do you want the output to be? What format? Because you will typically get a long blah, blah, blah text output, or if it's an image, it's an image. You want it in a JPEG format. Tell it what you want. If you want it to be broken down, specify that and provide the context as much as possible. So this is what I would call as simple steps of how you write prompts. Obviously, you can get into more complicated stuff like writing what I would call as few shot prompting. One shot prompting is where you put everything in one go. Few shot prompting is where you build on the output that you get, and you can specify that this is what I liked and this is what I didn't like, and you can build on that. So those are more advanced prompting techniques that one can use. So this is something that is not going to be, it's intuitive in our heads, but then of course, like the way we ask questions or when we write down questions, it's not intuitive to us. That's something that all of us need to practice. So we need to ask questions that are very, very specific. it's not going to assume anything. And as you saw, you gave it certain prompts, it gave you certain outputs. I mean, some of you got the same output, some of you got different outputs. That was because, that's the way the system behaves. And maybe, and one of the reasons why you probably got different outputs also is because your query was hitting different parts of the models or different parts of where the model is hosted as well. That's also a possibility. So if you're not specific, you're not going to get answers. So let's try some prompt. Okay, let's do this. My favorite topic. Enter this prompt. Whatever large language model. It could be ChatGPT. I tried this on Google, by the way. So if you want to try this on Google, Gemini, please do that. Okay, what did you guys get? Just enter this prompt. What did it say? Did it give you? Okay. Well, that's what it gave you. Like, depends. Are you on ChatGPT or you're on ChatGPT? So this is on Gemini. So Gemini, it gave a scoreboard, and is that good enough for you? Probably not. So let's try some of. Okay, now you guys all got very different answers, right? And some of it could be useful, and some of it is not. Now imagine you are actually required to write a 100-word essay. Imagine you're in school, your teacher has asked you to write a 100-word essay. Would the prompt that you just entered given you what you wanted? So let's do this then. Let's put in a prompt which says, I've got to submit an essay tomorrow to the teacher. Well, I mean, use your imagination. You don't have to use the same prompt. You can use your imagination and ask it to create a 100-word essay. And I'm not saying all of you are going to get the same answer, but yes. So now what you've done here is basically if I go back to the previous slide, right, you've kind of set a very clear objective. I mean, you probably didn't define what the thing was. I didn't mention here, I could probably say that I want that output, and I'll come to that in a bit. You described the number of words that you want, and you provided the context, right, saying that I want to know about India's Champions Trophy win. So, and hopefully what you got now is closer to what you were expecting. Yes? No? Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's try something else. Our favorite topic these days, work-life balance. So what? Enter the prompt, work-life balance. What happens? I'm sure it gave you a lot of gibberish. Sorry? All right, it gave you an image. Great. Well, I think it understands that all of you are designers. Huh? Maybe that's why it's giving you images. So possibly that's what has happened. It gave you key points, and it's all gibberish. It tells you work-life balance, you should work hard, you should party harder, blah, 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 all of that. Very good. Well, I don't know if that was the answer that you were looking for, but I wasn't. So I made it very specific. I said, summarize the recent statements made by Indian CEOs on work life balance in a tabular format. Now try this out. I think she got what she wanted. I'm getting all full 5 points from her. So what do you get? You got Narayan Murthy, you got SNS, did you get Bhavish Agarwal? Okay, lucky you. Did you? So I'll tell you what I got when I was prompting with this, and maybe you should scroll down. I actually got a very balanced view. I had people, I had a view in a tabular format who spoke about long working hours and why. And I also got a view in terms of who are the people who said you should be, having a balanced work life. In fact, the other prompt that I got a mix of both with another column which said that whether they were pro balance or anti balance. So now, if you wanted that, I mean, I thought that was very cool. So I could always annotate my prompt with the fact that in the table I would want to include who's pro and who's not, and you will get that. But how many of you got both sides? As in, the people who spoke, you got both. And when you entered the first prompt, what did you get? All somebody got graphical images. Somebody got a lot of blah blah. Okay, but you can mention that I want it in a tabular format. Okay, it's still not given it to you. Then it thinks you're a graphic designer. You got it? You got a okay. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, there are people. This is very interesting, by the way. There are some people who got links to advertisements. So people who are in the ad agency business or the ad business, this is a huge opportunity for you because we did so far we did what's called as SEO, right? We did search engine optimization where you essentially made sure that the ads were placed in the right area. I think the future is going to be how you do AIEO or something, right? AI optimization, AI engine optimization. So how do I and this is where I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these large language model providers are going to eat into Google's revenue because they'll say, hey, I'm as effective in doing ads as Google was through its search engine. But that's an opportunity. So anybody wants to think of a startup on, or maybe there are quite a few already on AIEO. Well, all right, let's try one more. Since you wanted to develop an SOP, you can do it for anything else. Wow, everybody's getting images. I don't know. Are you on ChatGPT or on Google? Yeah, you got. I think it knows Revti is the person who writes SOP. Yeah, so I think that's a good idea. So maybe you should use different windows. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would like to believe yes. Google will never admit to it. It possibly will, because that is going to be their USP, saying that I know your browsing patterns, so I will be very relevant to you. That's how they're probably going to even optimize the. Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, you can delete, and I don't know where it would pick it up from. It could probably pick it up from your cookies, and you can clear your cookies and try. That's one. The other thing is your browsing history is also stored in Google, so you've got to go to your profile and delete your history. So and of course, with regulations coming in, you also have the some regulation will allow you to have these forget you as your history, and you can set that up as well. But I would think it would be influence. It absolutely is influence, because in the when I started to use chat gpt when it was launched in 22 and the early part of 22, it would not give me answers for most of the questions I would ask, and especially it wasn't trained with a lot of historical data, and the model would give you wrong answers, which in the AI terms is called hallucination. So it would hallucinate quite a bit. But of course, they've improved over a period of time. They've trained the models. They obviously cache questions. And the other thing that you also need to remember is some of you might be getting similar images, is because remember, every time you actually fire a query, it's a very expensive operation. So every query, in terms of power consumption, costs you equivalent of what you would take to charge your phone from 0 to 100. If it hits the large language model. Plus, there is obviously the fact that if you're going to have millions and millions of users running it, you need to have the data centers infrastructure that is running it. So just imagine the load that's there on the servers, right? So what it also tends to do is it caches queries, it caches output. Of course, it already is. In fact, this is if you even chat gpt or for that matter google, uh, they all have chargeable models. The point is that they will give you very limited capabilities in some, and you will see that it will give, but eventually they'll all have to make money, and we'll have to make money as service providers. So absolutely. Okay, all right, going moving forward now. Sanjay, this is for you. I want you to validate the output. Create a SOP for AI risk management for a logistics company based out of India and serving international. Can you please run the query and tell us if Gemini was accurate? Okay. When you ran the first query, I know we got distracted. I'm sure again it was a lot of blah blah and gibberish. So let's see what happens when you run. Sorry? You are on Llama. Well, I mean, everybody gives you different results because they're all trained on different data sets. They all operate in different conditions. So I don't know who has the advantage. They all see absolutely. Oh, Vijay, probably you also, since you run supply chain, you can also tell us if you got a good result. I have a chart and I will talk to that. But to me, I wouldn't want to get so much caught up with AI models, right? I mean, it's always about trying to understand what problem you're trying to solve. These technologies and models keep evolving, right? I mean, like for example, Google or for that chat for OpenAI didn't have multimodal capabilities. It could not process imagery and all that. Now it can. So now it's in many ways a one-stop shop. So there are models that specialize, or there are tools that specialize, but I would say you got to pick those up if you really think that that's your purpose. Okay, it's probably sending a message to us. I mean, the model has a mind of its own. Now, again, like I said, and I'll come to some do's and do nots. That's because it doesn't have your history. So well, I mean, I I have a, I mean, this is my personal view, and obviously, I think no way Accenture. I mean, I'm not representing Accenture here at all, but also it's a very personal view. I think security and privacy in the digital world is overrated. We have put ourselves out there. We have literally put ourselves out there. We've created accounts on Facebook, talk about what we do. We are using Google Maps. From if I have to go from here to 10 blocks down the road, I'll put on Google Maps. Google knows where the hell you are. I mean, so we've completely put us out there. So now the point is, if you can't beat them, join them. So I really think that, well, I mean, you got to be careful in terms of what you want to put out there, but for the most part, information about what we do, how we use, is already available with the applications that we consume all the time on our phone. So Google knows. So like you said, if you're using Chat GPT, it already has a history of the kind of questions you ask, and it knows what are the outputs, because you might have given thumbs up, thumbs down to a certain bunch of outputs. It also can sense from the questions that you ask as to what are you looking for. So it obviously is built that so that it makes it more relevant and accurate for your usage. Sorry, you had a That's a great question. In fact, I would say that my I would put safety before everything else. I would actually not put any confidential data into any of these versions, paid or otherwise. So again, I will be very careful. I mean, if I were to wear my absolute lens of where it would go, yeah, I mean, it gives you your own workspace and whatnot, which is fine, and you need to make sure that you have the best way to do it. If you think that it's to be it's got to be done, there's a technique called as RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Essentially, you create a database of your data, you link it to a large language model, and that is very private to you, but you'll have to obviously do some work in terms of annotating the data and whatnot, and then the large language model is an interface to that data. So you do that. That's one way that people secure their data. You got so yeah, I mean, it's slightly more technical, if you will, right? I mean, you can use some of these cloud provider services, like if you have subscriptions to Google or AWS or Azure, they've got rack services that you can potentially use. And again, you'll have to be careful in terms of making sure that it is private and whatnot. What you don't want is, you have no idea. I mean, yes, we want to make sure that we believe what the providers say, and I mean, I have no reasons to believe that it's not, but it's a concern. They still have they still have access to your data, and maybe your client's data, which the client has probably shared with you in a lot of confidentiality. So even if it's a private version, I would not want to do it. I mean, as large organizations, it's a big no-no. In fact, large organizations, and we will we don't even have versions that go to the cloud. It is all privately managed and privately controlled, and that's going to be very critical. I would be very careful. For starters, I would say none of this is where you should be using your own data. You should possibly be using data from.
One more question. So something that I met somebody, and they said that they had read an AI startup, where the startup had told them that now that we've set up 200 stores, if you share that data with us, we can automate the store design, right?
Mhm.
And they set up some 200 stores and there's X amount of work. So when a startup or whatever, an ecosystem is generated in which you feed information like that, you think even an AI startup also would be using something like this, which is in public domain, and then feeding information into that, which is similar to what we were talking about, and all that data is like, I don't know.
So I would presume that if they're asking for data and we can do this, then they better have mechanisms to ensure that that data is not meant for public consumption. They have firewalled that data. It's only for the purposes of that organization. Now, I would come to some use cases in a bit, but you obviously can link it to both public and private content, right? I mean, you can set when you now getting a little technical about this. You can actually you have services. You got large language model services, querying services from the cloud providers, where you can clearly set guardrails in terms of what's the nature of data that you want to use. You want to just keep it private. You want to make sure that it uses public data. If it's public data, then what kind of public data can you marry it with? So you can set all those criteria in some of the. It's not something to do with the ChatGPT version that we have. But if you were to build an application, you will have to go to a cloud provider and buy these services, and you can pretty much set guardrails, if you will. So coming to this AI startup. See, the thing is, AI models in the end are nothing but frameworks. They're frameworks, and these frameworks, think of them as engines. Rather, if I were to get an automobile equivalent, it's an engine. For an engine to actually fire and make itself relevant, you need fuel. Data is that fuel. So why it's not like the techniques that were used by OpenAI or Meta or Google are techniques that are not known to researchers. They've been researched for years and years. But the difference that has happened is that they have trained these models with data. And I keep saying this that there are two things that we will have wars on. One is water, and the other is data. So data is something that is extremely precious. So a lot of organizations will want to safeguard their data. Now, why on earth will I share that 200 store design data? Yes, that organization is obviously wanting to sell what it wants to sell. But if I'm the consumer of that application, I will make sure that you will use my 200 store design data only for myself. If I'm the startup, I would say, hey, here's like 200 designs I can train my model on. It's up to you. You can be the benevolent, and that's your copyright, and that's the battle that's happening between China and you had a question, Pooja? So great question. So where is that data coming from? That data is coming in from all the data that OpenAI, Google has scraped over the internet and trained the models on, right? I mean, there's like, it's obviously they've taken years and years, and the amount of money that's been spent. Uh, they've spent about, I think OpenAI spent about $6 billion in training the model. I mean, think about the kind of money. It's like mind-boggling. So that's the amount of money that's gone in training the models to get them to this level of perfection, which it's not. The second question, in terms of anybody can do it. Absolutely. I mean, uh, I can be a designer. I can be an artist. Like, I drew. You were not there, so we were talking about how I became Da Vinci and Van Gogh from what I was. So anything, you can do anything. But the question is, whatever is produced by by the model, how comfortable are you using it, right? I mean, you will still need, you will, I mean, an example here would be, if I'm unwell, I can go ask Chat GPT, these are my symptoms. Chat GPT will tell you that, you probably, it can range from anywhere, ranging from, if I have a headache, I've got things like saying I have brain tumor to a migraine. Right now, it's a doctor who will have to really discern it and say that, well, I mean, these symptoms, this is what it is, right? So you still need an expert. So the expertise doesn't go away. What will happen is a lot of the mundane jobs, well, I mean, might. So that expertise, and this is a discussion I was having with one of my colleagues, saying that what is going to happen to the industry? I mean, let's take our own IT services industry. If ChatGPT can generate code, then a lot of the coders who code may not even have a job. But the point is, how can you rely on the code that ChatGPT produces or open or one of the AI model produces? Are you sure that it is bug free? Are you sure that it can scale? Are you sure that it meets the purposes? You still need an expert eye to look at it and comment on that. So I think the expertise is where the whole thing will lie. These are all tools that will help you aid productivity, but if I can basically design a t-shirt logo, and if I take that same logo to a client and the client enters the same prompt and he gets the same result, the client's going to say, are you charging me money for this? So yeah, I mean, that's where it can be a starting point, but it's not the end, it's the means to the end. So expertise is not going to go away anywhere. And I think we are far away from these models being super intelligent where it can essentially replace experts. Sanjay. Well, no, it is. I mean, not everything can be solved by technology, right? I mean, there you got to have ethical consideration around it. I mean, that's where I think, if a customer trusts you, right? I mean, that's where you got to legally protect yourself in terms of saying that, well, you whatever we're sharing with you, whatever is something that we're transmitting to you, the models of working are all NDA'd between us. Does that protect? I would say possibly to some extent, but maybe not to the entire possible extent. So there you can't. This technology is no substitute for putting those legal clauses, making sure that there is a relationship that exists. Yes, they can absolutely do. Have I not seen competition getting hold of quotes and proposals? It happens. So so that's where, I mean, it's obviously got to do with how you kind of bind the clients in terms of what they can share and what they cannot. But of course, I mean, technology can help in a certain limited fashion. But given that the fact that data is going to be something that people are going to value more and more, yes, it's going to be a war out there. So we have to be very careful about safeguarding our own data within our own enterprise, because customers is one, but what is stopping our own people from taking that data away? Because that's the real differentiation, right? I mean, maybe it's designs, maybe it's the way you run your processes, maybe it's the your pricing model. A lot of these have to be protected. So those go without saying. And it is not just about somebody sending that over to someone else. It's also in terms of saying that somebody may put your pricing model and say, like what she was saying, if I have to generate a estimation, I'll say, well, why should I worry so much? Let me put the pricing model, let it do an estimation using ChatGPT with my with my price sheet. Now your price sheet is with OpenAI, and you didn't even want it to go outside your office. It's probably now floating around with OpenAI, and God forbid somebody manages to hack into it, they may even get access to your data. It actually happened with Samsung. So Samsung, when and it's an open story. Somebody went and uploaded all their product specific patents and IPs onto ChatGPT to figure out how they can summarize stuff, right? So Ramsey, again, in your scenario, right, you may have drawings and whatnot. It's a great way. I mean, I have seen it. In fact, I was telling this to one of the kids from REC Suratkal, saying he was a mech guy and he was wanting to do some startup in jobs and all that. I said, why the hell, man? Your own field has so many opportunities. So much of the content that we actually create in plants is actually on paper today. Or even if it's not on paper, even if it's CAD drawing, it's a CAD drawing. So can you create models that can actually read it and give you the right kind of? Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'll take your question. No, it's still. So for example, it is still cached somewhere. I can tell you that. Okay. No, it is exactly. So that's one. That's see. I would still say that is the lesser of the evil, because these are questions that you asked. It's not going to hurt you. But the point is, what if I have uploaded documents? I can ask those documents to be erased and I can take that out. But you never know. You have no idea, because those documents could have been used as a input source to train the models. Because see, model training happens on a continuous basis. So they're always looking for more data sources to fine tune the model. So for example, if you've given a output, if you've given a certain input to the model to enhance your output, for all you know, it might be used to train the model the next time. So you are implicitly helping the model. It may your data may not be exposed the way it ought to, but you've implicitly trained the model. And you never know. There are figments of your model that could be picked up. Going back to that Mona Lisa picture, right now, this is where it gets into real murky territory. So it might have picked up elements of somebody else who have morphed that, and that could be that artist's copyrighted image. Maybe the sari, if I go back to that, maybe the sari that she's wearing is actually a sari from one of the sari brands, and that's the copyrighted design. Now you have no rights to put it on the Indian Mona Lisa. So, but you've done it. So you are an innocent user, but OpenAI is not an innocent. That's the whole debate. That's the whole debate. In fact, it so the debate is like this. This is data that's available on the internet. So it could be copyrighted data, but I've used it. Now, mhm. But the sari manufacturer wants to sell a sari on the internet. Yep. Yeah. So the point is, it's the you've not put it there, but the problem is that someone's picked it up. You didn't intend to use it. In fact, there's a huge. I think they've settled it now. There was a case that New York Times filed on OpenAI and Microsoft for using their data to train the GPT models. They said that that's my copyrighted data. In fact, if you go and pick up images on the internet, so many of these are I don't even know. So it is so that's why I mean I'll come to the points. It is you got to be very careful in terms of using these outputs. I mean, I would go to the extent of saying that I will never take the output that is generated by AI and use it the way it is created. I will use it as a starting point, and I will build on it and then use it. Look, two things. One is if I use it, and I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself. If I use it the way it's created, it's quite possible that the person and I'm presenting it to you, and you're my client. You can run the same query and get the same output. In fact, it's happened to you guys, right? Where your client has sent you reference pictures from generated by ChatGPT. Now, if one of the design teams out here had gone to ChatGPT and created a store design, and presented to them as one of the options, the guys, you can just imagine the rage that the person would have been in, because he would say, is this what you are coming and presenting to me? Because I could have generated this myself. So I think the thing is, what AI has done is it's equalized the word, or GenAI rather, it's equalized the word. So the experts have to be real experts. So this is what I say about every field, because I can't claim here and say I'm an AI expert if I do some shallow stuff, because you guys can do the same by running prompts on ChatGPT. I mean, I bloody well know what I'm talking about, and the same with each one of you. So the depth of expertise is never going to go away. So that's very critical, which brings us to another exercise. Okay, I don't know what this is all about. Okay, this is some mood board. The only thing I know is a product which is a plural of mood. I'm sure Ramsey gets the joke.
I'm sure a lot of people get this joke, but yeah.
No, Ramsey's my.
Yes.
All right. So Yes, yes. We drank from the same. Let's not get anywhere. All right. So maybe Kirti, you want to Kirti shocked. You want to explain to us what is a there is no there is no model that can predict it, so let's not go there. Why, if I do that, if I crack that, then I'll be a multi-billionaire. Okay, so do you guys want to explain what a mood board is, and maybe oh, come on, come here, and let's see how much have you learned. So you also need to tell them how what kind of prompts to enter. So also try and tell people what how will you prompt the Gen AI model to create a mood board.
So basically, we will get a brand like Suta. It's a clothing brand for women's. It
Don't tell
mainly-
me, man. Tell them.
So we will get a store, and we will get the clients. Client will give a brief of how their brand is, and we will try to create a mood board depending on how it matches with their store, like adding color palettes, um, adding materials. This will work for interiors. Like interior spaces. We'll create a mood board that for interior.
Okay, let's do that. We are designing it for a athleisure store. So same athleisure store logo that you designed. Now they've come to you and said, please help us design a store. So yeah, let's go for it. So it's an interior space. So what? How would you actually? I think you should tell them what are the prompts you will write.
Prompts.
Okay, if you want a reference point here, go back to this chart. It's a virtual board now. I have no idea what a mood board is. So or yeah, or yeah, we could do that. Yeah,
They want.
yeah. You can go to. You don't have to do it in one shot. You can do it in multiple shots as well. Okay, all right. Here we go. So Vikram's going to do some live prompting here. It's an athleisure brand. We said we're going to do it for yeah. So pick up any athleisure brand. हाँ, okay.
What are you working on right now?
Louis Philippe.
हाँ, do it for Louis Philippe.
Louis
Louis
Philippe.
Philippe.
हाँ.
So do Louis Philippe. For men, like you do.
Yeah. Hmm. See, I would say don't use the output. See, we have always done cut paste. Let's face it, right? So the thing is that when we've done cut paste, we've also been very careful to ensure that we're not giving out any client specific confidential data from the previous client to this client. Yeah, right, absolutely. Yes, I mean if they have an NDA, then absolutely yes. Yeah, shouldn't.
But I mean, that's to the rest of my team. We sign NDAs at the beginning of every process. Yeah, so like what we
Okay.
are training us, we sign a non-disclosure at the beginning of every project, and we all are bound by it. We may not be. Yeah, we could not be. We could not be allowed to use the name as a
Okay, all right, but this is a store design.
What is it? It gave us a
We
stove.
gave you that.
Yeah.
You said mood board.
Yeah, mood board.
I don't think you said mood board.
I mean, I didn't tell us mood board.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where, right? What you've said is you've asked for a color palette. So can you ask it to give you a mood board, right? So that's why be very specific, right? If you're not specific, then of course. Store design.
Use the word. Mood board for store design. Try that.
You had given me some prompt, remember, some weird color names, ochre, something, something. All right, is this a mood board? You had given me some prompt, remember, which had some color combinations or color palettes that I'd never heard ever in my life.
That is our problem. I use the word topic. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I can tell you guys that I think Vibgyor is the only max number of colors that I know. That too because I learnt in school. I mean, who the hell knows a color called as Mo? Yeah, that's the problem. So I mean, the next time she says, you don't even know Mo, I'm going to talk to her about one-shot training, multi-shot training. I'm going to talk to her about MOE, GPUs. That
Okay, everybody want to contribute to the.
Yeah, why don't we prompt?
Can you just go into the I said.
But this is Louis Philippe, right? Can ask. I mean, I don't think.
See, like you said, give a mood board for Louis Philippe store design. Instead of that, you say for a menswear brand which is formal. Collection. Yes.
Because if you have given this and created this, Louis Philippe guys can also This is basically picking it from this.
Louis
Yes. Guys, come on. You have to contribute. Poor Vikram is.
Or I'm just writing as I'm just writing it as a sporting brand.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
really
Okay.
sporting brand.
Sporting brand.
That also. Ah.
Why is it flickering? I think something. No, no. I think just move your hand here. I think it's flickering because it's probably a little loose there. Oh, I think it's gone. Oh, you'll have to. You're starting again.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Brand.
See, there is absolutely no prizes for going back to first principles in everything. So, I think if you start from first principles for any problem, that's how it is, right? So even if I have to transform my processes, bring in AI, I need to understand it's not like this is a silver bullet that can address everything and anything in life. There are certain areas where it works, there are certain areas where it will absolutely not work. So you need to, and that's for each one of us to figure out where in our professional life or personal life does this aid. And that's a judgment call that I think we as individuals will have to take, and we'll have to do that for our organizations that we represent, or we own, or we run, and support that. So there's no substitute to going back to that. Well, I mean, it has a sense of what you know. What So the best way to do it is to actually go out there and give these models as much context as possible, rather than assuming. Like, for example, some of them, because they've been, it assumes that you're looking for an image because your previous queries were about an image, and since you hadn't stated that you didn't want an image, you will get an image back. So it's better to be as contextual and as specific as possible to answer questions. So that's why it's like building that prompt muscle is very, very important. It's an art. I mean, I can see. I mean, these are, look at the amount of people who are trying to get a prompt. I mean, nothing against these poor guys, but asking the right questions is very important. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you will ask questions, you will get, garbage in, garbage out. Then you're going to say AI is crap. So you, until and unless you don't ask the right question of the AI application, you're not going to get right answers. So that's why I keep saying asking questions is an art that will never go away. And the only way you can ask a question which is relevant to you is through your knowledge. I can't be asking that. Exactly. Now, for example, if I can't for the life of me ask what's a question on what's a mood board design. I have no idea what a mood board is. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so where were we? Yes. Well, I would, well, I think the art of prompting is going to be very critical. So it doesn't make, so there, okay, so I'll answer that question in two ways. So one is usage, which is asking the right questions, asking the right making sure that you're asking the right prompt. So that art is going to be something that everybody will have to inculcate. Asking the right questions is not going to be as easy as saying I know what questions to ask, because you need to know what's the context, you need to know how to ask the question, you also need to know what scenario you're using it for and whatnot. So that's point number one. Point number two, there are obviously models that are coming up which are trained specifically on what they're called small language models, very narrowly trained on one domain. Like, for example, the startup that she was talking about, they've basically taken a fundamental large language model and ensured that they have trained it or retrained it on design by giving it more design related parameters, what you would consider for design and whatnot. So it's become, if I may use the word, an expert on design. If you look at your typical large language models, it's an expert on everything. So it can, so that is why it is never very accurate. But if you're going to train models to do specific things, which is what the term for that is, like small language models, then it's going to have more and more accuracy. So yes, that's already happening. So small language models are models that a lot of companies are building, like people are trying to, like taking the example of what she said, there could be small language models specifically for design. There could be small language models that are addressing healthcare. There could be, so industrial, there are these models that people are building. So absolutely, answer to that is yes. And with the number of startups, I'm telling you, I can't keep pace with what's happening. It's crazy. Every day some new stuff is happening. So there's something called as, in fact, look this up before I go to the next slide. Look up Manus AI. Manus AI is like the new kid in the block from China. They're supposed to take the world by storm in terms of how much automation they can do. Well, let's move ahead. So we have developed a mood board. So the question that everybody has on their minds is, where do I start? I know some of you are already doing some of these things, but I thought we'll talk about what you do, what you can potentially do. And a lot of you are probably owners of your company, leaders in your companies, or people who are inspiring others. So you got to be the change agent. It's always easy to preach change to others, very difficult to change ourselves. So maybe this is where we start. I don't know how many of us actually use meeting notes. I mean, meeting note features from, still very handful. It's such an amazing feature. So if you are a Microsoft Teams user, you got Copilot, turn it on. It gives you amazing notes. You can compare it. It's not a substitute, but it can compare. You can create meeting summaries. There's some amazing to-do lists that are created by Microsoft basis your email. So a lot of these are AI-led features which we should start using. Document summaries, word of caution. Again, we did that exercise of doing the summary of a book and getting what you got. Word of caution, please do not use proprietary documents. But assume that you have to read through a 300-page document, which you probably have to. You can use summaries. I do that all the time. Get good summaries of what I would like to read. Content creation, I think, is a given. There are two schools of thought, but it probably kills originality. But for example, my son was the compare for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary function. He just went there and created a script using ChatGPT. And when I looked at the script, I said, "This is not you." There were words in there that I've never heard him use anywhere, anytime. But he had used ChatGPT, and he was far ahead of me in terms of using it. So the kids are using it. So content, again, I would say it's a great starting point to get emails, content, marketing content. But again, word of caution, starting point. Yes. In fact, I think that's a field which is getting disrupted hugely. A lot of marketing content, images and videos. You guys saw we created images and videos, but if you can create it, so can your clients. But it's a great starting point to get going. So for starters, I would say do this if you've not started. You all saw how people were struggling in writing prompts. Prompt authoring is not easy. I mean, it looks very easy, but then if you want the right output, you need to ask the right questions. So you got to think about that. Maybe each one of you should also think in your daily role, what are those mundane jobs that you do that you can actually get Gen AI to do, or at least start doing for you as a starting point? I would say you should do that. I mean, why would you want to spend your time when you have a tool that can actually do it for you? Could be maybe if you are creating an agenda, you're creating something, why start from scratch? We've always done that, right? And we looked at previous agendas and gone done cut paste. So maybe Gen AI is another source to do it. And it'll give it to you in a nice format, as you could see. You want it in a table, you want it in bullet points. All you can do is go there, even cut and paste that into an email. So maybe think about all of that. Last but not the least, it's got to be an aid, not a distraction. So it should help you, right? If it's not giving you the right content, if it's not giving you the right output, then it's only going to disrupt your flow. So very critical that you do that. And here are some ideas for each one of you to think. I would say one of the things that absolutely takes a lot of time if you're in sales and marketing, writing proposals. We take a lot of time. Why not build something which can automate the proposal creation, marketing content creation, PPT creation? Some of it is there on. Some of these are enabled through Office, not a whole lot. But again, I would say be very careful, because if you're going to be putting in your own data, which is what would be required, don't just do this blindly by putting it into ChatGPT. You'll have to. There's work to be done here. Learning bots, I would say, I think your example, Ramsey, I'm sure that you have a lot of new engineers who come in, who may not have any idea what machines or what machines are used in what scenario, and how do you kind of design your entire floor plate. This can be a great self-learning tool where, and it's not just true for you, I'm just taking everybody as an example. You could have tools that can help you learn. It can be a starting point for people to ask questions and get answers. So that's something that you can use. Policy bots. So I want to know what's my leave policy. I'll have to go ask somebody, and whatnot. This is something that we see is an extremely efficient use, because a lot of policies are in paper, and they're like very tedious to read through. I've never read a single policy ever in my life, but look, and I have a bot now, so I just keep asking the bot, what should I do, and it gives me answers, and that's very simple. Last but not the least, this is a field that is getting disrupted like crazy: customer service. And maybe our generation is still very used to, when I say our generation, as in, maybe few of us, not people who are on the other side. That generation is probably very used to talking to bots. But yeah, I mean, the whole customer service scenario is changing. If you see the kind of intelligence that customer service bots have, they're amazing. In the past, it was just probably a rules based engine. I mean, I have seen customer service bots, especially travel booking kind of bots, that can actually sense what you want to do. It can give you alternate options. It can suggest best options. If you don't have options for a certain date, it can recommend similar locations to where you would like to go. It's just amazing the kind of interactions that you can have with some of these customer service bots. So if you are in the customer service business, a D2C selling brand, selling, direct to customers, this is a great way to interact with your customers, and maybe even empower your agents or talking to customers to be more effective. Yes, you can. No, it's not. You can. Well, I mean, you still need policy, so maybe you can use ChatGPT to. No, see, it need not be. Again, you got to be. Remember this. You don't have to. A lot of companies have written down these policies. Like large companies have policies, very structured policies that have been written and whatnot. So it's very easy for them to upload those policies and then have a bot run out of it. If you don't have a very structured way, the good thing about a lot of this is the the bots are very intelligent. They learn. So all it's looking for is it's looking for correlations. It might hallucinate. It might not give you right answers if you don't structure your data right. That's a given. But more often than not, if there is a certain structure, it's not like absolutely haphazard. But if there is a certain structure in which you have given the inputs, those could be policies, proposals, whatever it is, it has a way to discern itself. It has a way to annotate the text and discern what's right, what goes with each other. Like for example, if you're going to talk about leave, it may and say that there is leave and there's probably when you're talking about sick leave, it has the ability to correlate that to maybe even your medical policy. So it can even make a suggestion to you saying that, oh, if you're reading about sick leave, have you looked at our medical insurance policy or whatever? And maybe it gets smarter as you ask queries, like the bot learns as well, right? Basis queries. So you don't. It has to be fairly structured. It's not like I can randomly throw data at it. In which case, obviously, it's garbage in, garbage out. But if you give it a fairly structured amount of data, yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, see, it depends on how you'll have to build these bots. Like I was saying, that some of these bots you will have to build it for yourself. You'll have to put the security veneer around it. So it's not like building it as like just building something off the shelf. You have some tools that can do it, but of course, I mean, you will have to be very careful because it's your data. So you have to, even if you buy off the shelf product, you're still feeding it your data. So you've got to make sure that you have the right kind of data protection, whether it's through the product or through how you secure your data by ring fencing it in a secure environment. Mhm. Yep. Yep. See, I would say first thing is that you got to look at what the, I mean, if I take a very, an entrepreneur's view, you need to look at the market for it, right? I mean, if you have a market for it, that's the first step. So you believe that there's a market for it. The second step that you need to really do is, do you have, can you, in your mind, forget AI for a minute, in your mind, can you productize it? If you have productized it, you have a means by which you can give a decision tree, which will determine 10 ways, and then it can discern and give you what, then I think the answer to that is yes, you can build it. So if you can basically have one of your large language models where you can feed in the data, you can feed in the decision tree for how this can go, and it can make decisions for you. Question is, you will have to try it out. I mean, there is no straight answer to it, because like I said, it is completely dependent on, the scale at which the product will be used and whatnot, and the kind of decisions that it might take. Your initial experiences will be very bad because it will hallucinate. So I think what you need to start really is to start by laying that entire decisioning process on paper. That's where I will start. And once you've done that, then you can translate that into a decision tree, into one of the large language models or wherever it is. But having that clear in your mind is going to be very important. So the AI, so you need to start with what is in your mind. So the first step is going to be in terms of trying to see what you have in your mind. Is AI able to translate that into what you think is the output? Because that is very important. Your starting point is very important, because, and which is what in the AI parlance you call the ground truth. So I want to make sure that I've given it enough knowledge that when I query, I get an output which is the expected output. If I don't get the expected output, that means I don't even have a starting point. So what you have, you need to ensure that what you have in mind gets translated. Now, the point is, does it have to be to the nth possible degree? Maybe not. And that degree, that's the whole fine tuning piece. Maybe, you can start with a certain level of, ambiguity, and see where you are getting right answers and where you're not. And then you keep fine tuning it over a period of time. The point is, but if you don't have that decision making process clear in your head, then of course it is. See, there's no one single platform. I would say there are different, I'll give you a consultant's answer, it depends. You have all kinds. There are some very specific bots, like if you're doing document summarization kind of work and all that. There's one this is the biggest mistake that we do. Because you know how to write prompts in Chat GPT does not make you an AI expert. Chat GPT not equal AI. Machine learning or some machine learning tool like Python or Spark doesn't make you an AI person. Yeah, a true blue AI person is somebody who can actually think about what is the problem that can be solved using AI and then design an AI solution for that. So if somebody comes and tells you that I am an AI person, ask them what are the kind of problems you solved with AI, because they'll come and tell you that I know how to use Chat GPT. I mean, sorry, thank you very much. So look at it. I mean, this is probably a wheel that grows by the minute or maybe the second. And when I looked at this, I'll be very honest, I picked it up from LinkedIn. I could myself figure out that there aren't half the tools that I was looking for that are in here. This is something that is evolving at the speed of, I don't know what. It's just crazy. Every day you hear a new evolution, and being in this field, I can tell you I have stopped trying to keep pace with what's happening. So 80% of the names out here, even I don't know. So I'll be very honest. That is because it's some techie who's built it. See, again, coding, like everything else, is it's got two nuances. If it's like going back to first principles, like I was telling Vijay, for me to know whether my code is going to run effectively or not. I need to know what the code is going to do. Is it right or wrong, right? So if I'm not a coder myself, how will I even tell AI what code to write, and how do I write it more effectively? So again, right, we all tried creating the mood board. How many of us succeeded in creating the mood board? Because we just didn't know what prompts to enter. So if I am a person who's going to use a code generator, I need to know what code will I write, what are the nuances, what are the parameters, and that will come only if I have some deal of experience in it and expertise in it. So AI cannot make up for lack of expertise. AI is an enabler. AI can't replace, like I said, it can't replace a doctor. It can help a doctor. If I'm going to say that a doctor is going to, I can be a doctor using AI, then God forbid, I don't know what's going to happen. I'll self medicate and and you don't want to be there. So it's the same thing with code. So I would say whatever you do, first principles doesn't go away. So as designers, whatever sketches you're creating, I mean, I don't know what you guys do. So again, like I said, that's why we are still, sanely married to each other. So maybe you guys draw, or don't know whatever you guys do, right? So what you do as basic stuff doesn't go away. It is only something that enables you. It'll help you pace up what you do, and maybe you can get ideas. So yes, I mean, this is something that's evolving, and like I said, I can't find half the tools that I've been thinking would be here, but then I said, well, this is just illustrative, and this is the pace at which this is growing. So I think this is my last but one slide, I guess. Yeah. So what are the watchouts? So I think we spoke a lot about some of these things. You got to build the AI muscle. It's not going to come very naturally, and I'm talking specifically in Gen A. I'm not even getting into classical numbers and all that. That's a very different field. Even with this, if somebody's telling you that, hey, you know what, with AI, I've kind of figured it all. Sorry, it's not happening. We found through the exercise that you need to know how to ask the right questions and get it right. So building that muscle, building that prompting skills is going to be very critical. I would say each one of you has to be a role model for yourself and for your teams. So if you are using AI, you are only going to encourage other people to use AI. Otherwise, like I said, change is very easily preached but not implemented on yourself. So you got to be the change agent. Ask yourself what can AI do? What can it transform? How can it do things differently for me? And this is a question that we need to keep asking, because if you don't ask a question as to what can AI do, that where can AI help me, and how do I implement that in my daily job? Somebody else, like this company which is coming up and saying that give me your data and I will design stores for you, are people who are going to come in. You are the experts. They are a tech company. They have no idea how to run design, but you are the design folks. You exactly know what can be AI enabled and what can't be AI enabled. So make sure that you are questioning the status quo and saying what can you do differently. Last but not the least, ask yourself, is it helping you or not? Which I said, it has to be an aid. And if you want to go to, and I do this, if I want to go and create a business case on why I should need AI in an organization, I will need to go and give some metric saying that by doing this, I improve my productivity by X hours. Like what Shiba was saying, she was able to do a t-shirt design in 2 minutes, which probably took 2 days, 10 days. There you go. So what are you going to do with the rest of the time, Shiva? There you go. It enhances productivity. So there's more you can do with the time that you have. Some do not. I'll start with the first thing. Never take raw output of AI to your clients ever. Your clients are as smart as you are. So if you're going to come and create something and say, hey, this is the design I created, if I'm smart enough to enter the prompt, I'll get the same design. So you take that, your credibility with the client will just vanish like poof. AI is a aid. It's not the be all end all. It's a means to the end. We spoke a lot about uploading data. Never upload any personal confidential data to public AI services, because you have no idea where that's going. So while I don't want all of you to get very excited with this workshop and say, hey, you know what, let's enter these 3 proposals and to chat GPT and create our own proposal, or let's enter these drawings, or let's enter some user manual which is confidential. Please don't do that. You're putting yourself, your organization at a great deal of risk. So never ever do this. The other thing is, I always say this: natural intelligence always trumps AI. AI is not perceptory. So you saw with the prompts, you had a lot that was going on in your mind, but you did not translate that into a prompt, because of which you never got the answer. So always trust your judgment. Your judgment, human judgment, is going to trump anything that AI will bring in, at least at this point in time. I can't talk about the future, but at this point in time, natural intelligence and your perception, because AI can give you all kinds of various things. I mean, I was reading a thing saying somebody was trying to predict the sales of cars in the US, and they tried to do some correlation, and it gave some weird correlation. It said that whenever the strawberry season is very good in that region, the car sales go high. Maybe there's a correlation. Maybe because people have money, they go buy cars. But then, is that even a correlation? And that was something that, a data scientist went and presented, and of course you can imagine everybody. So you will get all kinds of these answers and correlations in AI, which you have to then apply your natural judgment. And last but not the least, it aids humans, it does not replace them, not yet. Maybe when we have Terminator, which is my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, that will be the time, but we're still a long way away from that. All right, this is my last slide. This is what I would recommend that you do. I will not speak. I will let you guys internalize it, and each one of you can decide what is it that you want to do if you really want to make AI your ally. Okay. With that, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I've spoken a lot, and I've got a bad throat. But I hope you had as much fun. I had a lot of fun doing this session. I hope you had fun too. And if I would say there's one learning that I would want you guys to take away, is the first one that I had on my slide. Please go back and think where AI can help you. That's the one learning I would have. The second thing that I would like you to take away: please, please do not upload anything that is sensitive to public AI services. Thank you so much, and it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Jain sir. It's
I am not yet knighted, man. You can call me Jay.
for spending your precious time with us, and thank you everyone for and giving us some wonderful insights about how AI works and how AI works in real world. And thank you, Jain sir. And thank you for spending your precious time with us and giving us a wonderful insight on how AI works in real world. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining. We would like to have your feedback. Thank you.
You can use ChatGPT to generate it also. Oh wow! Oh wow! Thank you so much. Well, I recommend the signature. Thank you.
switch on the lights.